She was just a village girl, trying to fetch water. But what she found that evening by the river would change her life forever. It had just rained. The soil was soft beneath her feet, and the air smelled of wet leaves and smoke from distant cooking fires. Ajiri walked alone through the narrow bush path, an empty clay pot balanced carefully on her head. She had waited for the rain to stop before going to the stream. She didn't like walking that late in the evening, but the house needed water. As she got closer to the river, she heard something strange. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't thunder. It sounded like someone crying. Ajiri stopped. She listened. The forest was quiet. Then she heard it again, softer this time, broken, full of pain. Her heart began to beat faster. Slowly, Ajiri removed the pot from her head and placed it on the ground. She followed the sound, each step careful, her breath shallow. And that was when she saw her. A woman lay at the edge of the river, half in the water, half on the sand. Her long black hair clung to her skin, wet and tangled. Her body was covered in blood and deep cuts, and her arms trembled as she tried to pull herself up. Ajiri rushed forward. "Auntie, are you hurt?" she asked. The woman turned her face slightly, and that was when Ajiri saw it. The woman had no legs. Instead, where her legs should have been, there was a long silver tail, shining faintly in the fading light, trapped tightly in torn fishing nets. Ajiri froze. She had heard stories of river women, water spirits, mermaids. But this wasn't a story. This was real, and this woman was dying. Ajiri knelt beside her, shaking. The woman's breathing was weak. Her skin was cold. "Help me," the woman whispered. I don't know what to do," Ajiri replied, fear filling her voice. "Don't run," the woman said softly. "Just listen." Her eyes were gentle, but filled with pain. "My name is Nyasa," she said. "I was betrayed not by humans, but by my own sisters." Ajiri swallowed hard. Nyasa continued, her voice fading in and out. "We lived in the deep waters. We were meant to protect one another. But they gave me up to the river gods because I refused to give them my child." She coughed violently, and blood stained her lips. "I ran, I swam, I hid, but they caught me." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "And now, I will die." Ajiri felt a cold chill run down her spine. "You have a child?" she asked quietly. Nyasa nodded weakly. With great effort, she reached beside her and pulled forward a small bundle wrapped in seaweed. Inside was a baby girl, tiny, silent, breathing softly. Her skin shimmered faintly, and where her legs should have been, there was the soft beginning of a tail. Ajiri gasped. "She is mine," Nyasa said, "but I cannot raise her." Ajiri shook her head slowly, overwhelmed. "Why me?" she whispered. Nyasa looked at her with tired eyes. "Because you stopped," she said. "Others would have run away, but you came closer." Tears filled Ajiri's eyes. "Please," Nyasa begged. "Raise her, hide her, love her." She took Ajiri's hand tightly, and when she turns 15, bring her back to this river. Ajiri's voice broke. "I'm just a poor girl, I sell firewood. I don't even know how to raise a child." Nyasa managed a weak smile. "She is more human than you think. She has a heart, she has a soul, and she needs love more than power." With her last strength, Nyasa pressed a glowing shell into Ajiri's palm. When the time comes, she whispered, give her this, it will help her remember. The shell was warm, pulsing like a heartbeat. Please, Nyasa said, tears sliding down her face. Do not let her grow in hate, let her grow in truth. Her voice trembled, and if you betray her, the river will know. Then slowly Nyasa's body dissolved into the water, softly, quietly, as if she had never been there. Only the baby remained. Ajiri named the baby Nimi. Before dawn broke, she wrapped the child tightly and left the river behind. She did not return to her village. Instead, she traveled far away to the edge of a quiet forest where very few people passed. There she built a small hut close enough to a stream for water, but hidden from curious eyes. Whenever people asked about the child, Ajiri told them she had taken in an orphan from another town. No one questioned her story. Nimi grew up quiet and gentle. She rarely cried, and she watched more than she spoke from the very beginning. Ajiri knew this child was different. By the age of 4, Nimi could hold her breath longer than any child Ajiri had ever seen. By 6, fish swam closer whenever she stood near the stream. By 8, she began to speak in her sleep, using words Ajiri could not understand. Fear slowly grew in Ajiri's heart, but her love grew even stronger. Nimi became the daughter Ajiri never thought she would have. She taught her how to cook and clean, how to sing old village songs, and how to pray before sleeping. But there were strict rules. Nimi was never allowed to swim, never allowed to step into deep water, and never allowed to stare at her reflection for too long. Sometimes Nimi would ask why she could not go to the river like other children. Ajiri would smile and tell her that the water was not safe for her, and Nimi believed her without question. Hidden beneath Ajiri's sleeping mat was the glowing shell Nyasa had given her. Every few nights Ajiri would take it out and stare at it. It always glowed softly and felt warm in her hand, like a living heart. That is how it remained, until one night, just days before Nimi's 15th birthday, when the shell suddenly went cold. There was no light and no warmth. Ajiri sat awake in the darkness, staring at it as Nyasa's words echoed in her mind. When she turns 15, bring her back. Ajiri pressed the shell against her chest and cried silently until morning. She could not imagine giving Nimi away. This child was her joy, her purpose, and her reason to keep living. At dawn, Ajiri went to wake Nimi, but the sleeping mat was empty. She called her name, but there was no answer. The hut door stood open outside. Ajiri saw wet footprints leading away from the hut and straight toward the river. Fear tore through her chest as she followed the trail through the trees. When she reached the river bank, the water was calm, far too calm. On the sand lay the shell, glowing once again. The river began to hum softly. In that moment, Nimi dove into the water without ever being taught how to swim. Her body remembered what her mind did not. Her legs transformed into silver. Her tail returned and she moved faster than any fish, sinking into the river's darkness. She did not know where she was going, only that something was calling her deep beneath the surface. She saw them, 3 mermaids, beautiful, cold, and watching her closely. They told her they had been waiting and revealed that she was Nasa's child. When Nimi accused them of betrayal, they did not deny it. They admitted they had led the river gods to her mother. Above the water, Ajiri was crying. Without hesitation, she jumped into the river. Though she could not swim well, love pulled her forward. She went deeper than she ever had before until she saw Nimi glowing beneath the water. Ajiri reached out, calling her name. The water did not pull her down. The mermaids watched in confusion as Nimi declared that Ajiri was hers, even if she was not of the river. The shell in Nimi's hand began to glow brighter as the water swirled around them. Nimi thought of her mother Nyasa and of the pain that had been passed down through generations. Then she made a choice. She loosened her grip and dropped the shell into the river. She said she would not continue the cycle of pain and that she chose forgiveness. The river grew quiet. The mermaids watched in silence, holding Ajiri's hand. Nimi swam upward toward the light, leaving the river behind. Nimi dove into the river, her heart pounding. The water closed over her like a dark blanket. Her legs melted into a silver tail. She moved fast, deeper into the river. The river seemed alive, singing softly. 3 mermaids appeared cold, watching her carefully. "You're Nyasa's child," one said. Nimi's chest tightened. She remembered her mother's words. "I am her daughter," she whispered. A glowing figure appeared in the water. It was Nyasa. Her long black hair floated like silk. Her eyes were soft but full of sorrow. "Nimi," she said, "you came back." Nimi swam closer. Tears filled her eyes. "Mama," she said, "I never forgot you." Nyasa reached out her hand, passing through Nimi's. A gentle warmth filled her. "You were brave. You listened. You kept my gift safe," Nyasa said. Nimi held the glowing shell in her hand. It pulsed like a heartbeat. "I will honor you, Mama. I will protect others, just like you wanted," Nimi said. Nyasa smiled. "The river is calm. The past is forgiven. Love is stronger than fear." The mermaids watched silently, nodding in respect. Nimi released the shell. It sank slowly into the water. "I forgive you," she whispered. The river glowed softly, and Nyasa's spirit slowly faded into the light. Nimi's tail vanished. She became fully human again. She swam to the surface and saw Ajiri waiting. "Mama!" Nimi cried, running into her arms. Ajiri hugged her tightly. "You're safe. You're mine." We walked back to their hut. The river behind them was calm, peaceful. Nimi carried Nyasa's memory in her heart. She knew her mother's love would always guide her. From that day on, Nimi and Ajiri lived in peace. The river no longer called her with fear. It sang of love, of courage, and of a mother's blessing.